What is behind all this desirousness? A thirsting for the eternal. Desire only burns in order to burn itself out, and in and from this fire arises the true living spirit which generates life according to its own laws. C.G. Jung. What if romantic desire could be seen as an invitation to connect with the divine within us? The ancient Greeks had a god for love and desire, Eros. They understood human desire as a divine power. They knew that love is transcendent, that we, our egos, don't choose who or what we desire, that our desire directs us, like a moth longing for a flame, insane for the very light that will extinguish its own life. Psychologist Carl Jung believed that the psyche is inherently religious. And modern research by people like Dr. Lisa Miller or the psychologist Abraham Maslow confirms that we seem to be hardwired for transcendence. But there is many shapes that this desire that carries our spiritual longing can take. It's the immaterial part of our humanity that old tradition spoke of as the image of God, or in Latin, imago Dei. Some traditions, like the mystical branch of Islam known as the Sufis, refer to the divine as the beloved. They don't see God as some abstract concept, but as the ultimate source of love, beauty, and intimacy. The poet Rumi illustrates this beautifully when he wrote, "I am lost in the beloved, and the beloved is lost in me." The Sufis see love as a path to God. They focus on experiential intimacy over formal religious worship. They focus more on poetry and metaphor as ways of expressing that which logic can't describe. For many of us, one of our first encounters with spirituality is that transcendent experience of falling in love. It's our first taste of that divine longing when we're intoxicated with love. It's common that we attribute our lover with the ability to save or heal us with their love. Unconsciously, what we're doing is we're asking our lover to stand in for the divine, to wear the mask of the beloved, of the image of God, of the imago Dei. Our lover or partner brings out in us that feeling of self-transcendence. They can serve as a catalyst, as a window into the divine. The reality is that often our desire for a romantic partner isn't just about approval, affection, or companionship. It's part of a larger spiritual longing to awaken to all of life through the connection with a single individual. I think it's what Rainer Marie Rilke meant when he said that love is two solitudes watching over one another. I love that. In this way, love within romantic relationships can serve as a spiritual container to help evolve our consciousness. We could say that love's ultimate inner purpose is to evoke the image of the long-lost beloved, to help us both navigate the painful and unpredictable journey back to self with a capital S. But as Rilke put it, love is two solitudes watching over one another. In other words, ultimately, we're two autonomous individuals. We can never find absolute certainty, safety, and control within a relationship without destroying its fluid and wild nature. Our consciousness grows through cycles of union and separation, through seeing the difference of the ego and the other and transcending that difference. There are many traditions that describe this transformative process through different metaphors. One of them is the sacred marriage as a mystical union between the soul, bride, and Christ or God as the bridegroom in Christianity. Another is the balance found between yin and yang in Taoism, or the sacred marriage between Shiva as pure consciousness and Shakti as divine energy, giving birth to Kundalini awakening in Hindu thought. I prefer the idea of Unio Mystica found in alchemy, which describes the transformative process that can be found in relationships. Alchemy uses a stage known as conuncio to illustrate the merging of the masculine and the feminine together, often depicted as Luna, the moon, and Sol, the sun, to give birth to the Philosopher's Stone, which symbolizes the ultimate transformation. Carl Jung used this symbol to explore the process of individuation, where our inner longing for wholeness is only resolved by an inner union that transcends our inner fragmentation. This fragmentation can only be transformed into wholeness through the integration of conscious and unconscious, ego and shadow, anima and animus, which are the inner masculine and feminine energies that we all carry. This sacred marriage is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. St. John of the Cross, in his Dark Night of the Soul, describes that holy longing, whether it's to God or the universe or self, as something that may never be fully satisfied, because it's the longing itself that results in the refinement and the purification of the soul. Rumi speaks of divine longing as a burning love, as an annihilation of fana back into the beloved. The ache itself becomes a means of transformation. This longing, this seeking, this wound of love, so to speak, are not necessarily obstacles. They are the path itself. Longing becomes a sacred fire that refines the soul, that leads to ever deepening states of union. Through our relationships, we can find an external mirror for this transformation, one that helps us cultivate a relationship with the divine image that we project onto our partners. However, as long as we project the divine onto another, we ultimately lose the ability to access it within ourselves. We must come to see that our beloved partner isn't responsible for carrying the divine. We can't burden them with our disowned light, but they can help us reclaim the divinity that we cast onto them, so that we can cultivate our own inner sacred marriage by not requiring them to carry a disowned part of us. We are free to love them more as they are in all their beauty and imperfection. This becomes a conscious devotion to them rather than an unconscious need for them. In this way, the purpose of a loving relationship then becomes to serve as a container where each person cultivates interdependence with themselves, with others, and with the divine. It becomes a dance between love and freedom, union and autonomy. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, Kindred Soul. If you liked the video, let me know in the comments what your experience is with relationships as a path to inner connection and unity. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.